Since the dawn of time, mankind has had one unifying characteristic, one sole trait that pretty much all of us share. And that thing is that, watching people fall down is pretty funny. From cliff diving to wipeout, slipping and falling has always been an international delight for many of us. And this love has resulted in one of the most over-the-top and underloved sports in jolly old England. That's right, I'm talking about cheese rolling. Now, for those of you living life bereft of any meaning or purpose, CheeseWheeling is a sport where 50 or so men tumble down a very steep hill in pursuit of a rolling wheel of cheese and the possibility of brain damage. Now, obviously, this would be the perfect contender as a new sport for the Olympics. But what makes it such a good match? Well, I'll tell you. First of all, the Olympics viewership is starting to dwindle. Forbes magazine reported a 6% drop in viewership since 2014. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but pretty soon, if it keeps going that way, we're not going to have an Olympics at all. So obviously, we need a sport that'll turn heads and gather back attention to the games. And CheeseWheeling is the perfect candidate for that. But why is that? Because of my second point. That the presence for complex strategy in this game is not only already there, but it's inevitable to grow. You see, the rules of the game dictate that players can go down the hill by any means necessary as long as it doesn't involve any outside items. So, sliding, rolling, leaping, it's all fair game. So the concept of one individual player coming up with his own little way to get down the hill has not only probably already happened, but it's inevitable to happen more. Just to give you an example, the method of traversing down the hill changes depending on the density of the soil they're traveling down. Even the ground has nuance. Just imagine what they could do with Olympic backing. And that brings me to my last point, which is that the sport itself would be remarkably cost-effective for the Olympics to play. All that the sport requires to play is a ramp, a couple bags of soil, and a wheel of cheese. Do you think that the Olympics can't afford that stuff? Because I'll tell you what, they won't be able to if they don't get their asses in. Quite frankly, there's no reason why CheeseWheeling isn't already an Olympic sport. It's entertaining, it's complex, it's cost-effective, so the only real reason why it isn't is because the International Olympic Committee is snubbing it on the grounds of it being too weird. And in my personal and completely unbiased opinion, that is cause for outrage. So go outside, throw trash cans out of windows, write sternly worded letters to the International Olympic Committee. I don't really care as long as it raises awareness. Also, don't kill people. That's probably a good idea. There are so many skills that can turn an everyday person into a sports superstar overnight, like video games or chess. So why doesn't that apply to people who literally break their bones every day in pursuit of dairy products? It should, and I've given the reason why. So go out there and voice your support for our boys in green, brown, red, and sometimes yellow, depending on the cheese. It's the least we can all do. I've also made a poem. Against my own will, but I've made a poem. Hear the sound of the falling men, chasing after the same old thing again. A friend. The heroes without monuments. Hear the sound of the roaring flame. Decades pass, and yet every single game is the same. It puts out the torch like a passing rain. Wait, these sports don't represent the ones who have to fall. Snubbed for 30 other sports with a ball. That's my poem. Good night, everybody. Suck it.